I had just been let go from work early to prepare for an upcoming business trip. It was meant to be a routine departure, yet it turned into a day etched forever in my memory. As I arrived home earlier than expected, thoughts of packing and last-minute arrangements filled my mind. Opening the door to our bedroom, I expected to find Lauren, perhaps engaged in some household chore or lost in her thoughts. Instead, what greeted me shattered every semblance of normalcy I knew. There they were in our sanctum, wrapped in each other's arms, a scene so surreal that my mind refused to process it at first. Lauren, my wife of 10 years, whom I had trusted with all my heart, entangled with another man. Shock paralyzed me. The room felt stiflingly small, each breath a laborious effort. The sight before me blurred through tears of disbelief, the world outside our bedroom seeming to fade into insignificance. Words escaped me as emotions surged, a tidal wave of anger, confusion, and heartbreak crashing down upon my unsuspecting soul. How could this be? What had I missed? Questions clamored for answers, yet at that moment, the truth was plain. My world, as I knew it, lay in ruins. I stood there, a silent witness to my devastation, unable to tear my gaze away. Every detail burned into memory, the way they hesitated as they noticed my presence, the guilt staining their faces, and the unbearable weight of betrayal suffusing the air. In those agonizing seconds, I felt the foundation of trust crumble beneath me, leaving only the bitter residue of shattered vows and broken promises. There was no room for denial. The evidence before me was undeniable, and yet my mind struggled to accept the enormity of what I was witnessing. Lauren's voice faltered as she attempted to speak, but her words dissolved into an incoherent murmur. The other man's presence only intensified the surreal tableau before me, a stark reminder of the infidelity that had pierced my heart. In that room on that fateful day, the world as I knew it ceased to exist. The familiar became alien, the intimate turned cold and distant. Betrayal, unveiled in the most intimate of spaces, tore through the fabric of my reality, leaving behind a raw, gaping wound that no amount of time could heal. It was a moment frozen in time, etched with the piercing clarity of truth. As I stood there, my heart torn and my mind reeling from the shock of discovering Lauren with another man, her admission cut through the silence like a knife. She stood before me, her voice trembling with the weight of guilt and the inevitability of confession. "I've been unfaithful for 10 years. Her words hung in the air, each syllable striking a blow to the fragile remnants of trust that had somehow lingered despite the glaring evidence before me. Her confession echoed in the empty spaces of our shattered sanctuary, mingling with the bitter taste of betrayal that filled the room. Time seemed to stand still as the enormity of her admission settled over us. 10 years, a decade of deceit hidden beneath the veneer of our marriage. Images, moments, and memories flashed before my eyes, each one now tainted with the knowledge of her infidelity. The life we had built together, the vows we had solemnly exchanged, all now overshadowed by the revelation that she had chosen another path, veiled in secrecy and deception. Questions clamored for attention in my mind, yet they remained unvoiced, drowned out by the hollow ache of betrayal. How could she have lived this lie for so long? How many times had I unknowingly stood beside her, unaware of the betrayal festering beneath the surface? The pain of her confession cut deeper than any physical wound, a profound realization that our shared past had been built upon a foundation of falsehoods. Her tear-streaked face mirrored my anguish, a reflection of the wreckage we had wrought upon our once happy home. Words failed me in that moment of profound disillusionment, where the truth, however painful, demanded acknowledgement. I stood there, grappling with a torrent of emotions, anger, disbelief, and a profound sense of loss for the life we had once envisioned together. In her confession, Lauren laid bare the fractures that had silently fractured our marriage, exposing the yawning chasm between the reality I had known and the truth that now stared back at me with unrelenting clarity. As her words hung in the air, I realized that the unraveling of our marriage had begun long before this day of reckoning, rooted in years of deception and the gradual erosion of trust. With her admission, the final vestiges of hope for reconciliation shattered like fragile glass, leaving behind only the stark truth of our irreparable bond. The confession of betrayal marked not just the end of our marriage, but the beginning of a painful journey toward acceptance and, ultimately, healing from the wreckage of a love betrayed. Rage surged within me like a tempest, a roiling torrent of emotions threatening to consume everything in its path. Her confession echoed in my mind, each syllable a hammer blow to the fragile remnants of our shattered marriage. How could she have done this to us, to me? I paced the confines of our once happy home, now tainted by the bitter taste of betrayal. The walls, once witnesses to our love and laughter, now seemed to mock me with their silent complicity in her deceit. Anguish and fury intertwined, a maelstrom of emotions that threatened to overwhelm my senses. For 10 years I had trusted her implicitly, believing in the sanctity of our vows and the steadfastness of our bond. Yet beneath the surface, she had harbored secrets, weaving a web of lies that now suffocated the truth I had held dear. How many nights had I spent beside her, oblivious to the duplicity hidden behind her smiles? Despair settled over me like a suffocating blanket, weighing down every thought and every breath. The life we had built together lay in ruins, demolished by her infidelity and the shattered remnants of my faith in her. Anger burned hot within me, fueled by the realization that our love had been a facade, a fragile illusion shattered by her betrayal. I slammed my fist against the wall, the sharp pain grounding me momentarily amid my turmoil. Tears threatened to spill, yet I fought against the vulnerability they represented. How could I have been so blind, so naive to her deceit? The echoes of our past haunted me, moments of intimacy, shared dreams, and whispered promises now tarnished by the truth I could no longer deny. The woman I had loved, the woman I had believed to be my life partner, had become a stranger, a betrayer whose actions had irrevocably altered the course of our lives. Amid my fury and despair, a numbness settled over me, a cold, hollow realization that our marriage was beyond repair. The foundations upon which we had built our life together had crumbled, leaving only wreckage and heartache in their wake. As I stood amidst the ruins of our once happy home, I knew that forgiveness, if it ever came, would be a distant horizon. For now, all that remained was the searing pain of her betrayal and the jagged edges of my shattered trust, a testament to the irreparable damage wrought by her infidelity. In a flash of uncontrolled rage, my hand struck out, connecting with Lauren's cheek in a resounding slap. The sound reverberated through the room, punctuating the silence that had descended like a heavy shroud over our once happy home. I recoiled immediately, stunned by my actions, and by the violence that had erupted from deep within me. It happened so fast, fueled by the betrayal that had torn apart everything I held dear. Lauren staggered back, a hand rising to her reddened cheek, eyes wide with shock and disbelief. The woman I had loved, the woman who had been my wife, now stood before me as a stranger. Her betrayal a wound that cut deeper than any physical blow I could deliver. Tremors of guilt and remorse coursed through me, mingling with the fiery anger that still simmered beneath the surface. I had never imagined myself capable of such violence, of striking the person I had once vowed to protect and cherish. But at that moment, reason had given way to a primal instinct, an instinct born of pain and betrayal, seeking some form of retribution, some release for the anguish tearing me apart. For a fleeting moment, Lauren's eyes met mine, filled with a mixture of hurt and accusation. The weight of what I had done crashed down upon me, a crushing burden that threatened to suffocate any remaining semblance of reason. What had I become? How had our love, our life together, spiraled so out of control? I turned away, unable to bear the sight of her pain, of the damage I had inflicted both physically and emotionally. The room spun around me, the walls closing in as the enormity of our shattered marriage settled heavily upon my shoulders. There was no justification for what I had done, no excuse that could absolve me of the violence that had marred our relationship beyond repair. In the aftermath of the physical confrontation, a profound emptiness filled the space between us, a chasm too wide to bridge with mere words or apologies. My hand throbbed with a dull ache, a physical reminder of the irreversible damage wrought by my loss of control. Guilt gnawed at my insides, a relentless voice reminding me of the man I had never wanted to be. As Lauren retreated to a corner of the room, I sank to the floor, overwhelmed by a sense of powerlessness and regret. The man who had once believed in the sanctity of marriage, in the strength of our love, now faced the stark reality of its destruction, wrought not only by her betrayal, but by my inability to contain the storm of emotions raging within me. Silence enveloped us, broken only by the occasional hitched breath or stifled sob. There were no words left to say, no apologies that could erase the violence that had marred our relationship forever. At that moment, I realized with heartbreaking clarity that our once unbreakable bond had been shattered beyond repair, its fragments scattered irretrievably across the wreckage of our shared past. Driven by raw emotions and a tumultuous mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak, I bolted out of the house, the slam of the front door echoing like a thunderclap in the stillness of the night. My mind raced with images of Lauren's confession, of her tear-streaked face, as she finally admitted to the decade-long deception that had shattered our marriage. I stumbled to the driveway, my vision clouded by tears of rage and disbelief. Without a second thought, I jumped into my car, hands trembling as I fumbled for the keys. The engine roared to life, a mechanical growl that matched the storm brewing within me. My foot pressed hard on the accelerator, propelling me down the familiar streets that now felt foreign and hostile. Blinded by fury and pain, I barely registered the speedometer needle pushing past legal limits. Thoughts careened through my mind like bullets, each one a painful reminder of the life I thought I knew, now irrevocably torn apart by Lauren's infidelity. The road ahead blurred, a distorted path leading nowhere but away. From her, from the wreckage of our marriage, from the person I no longer recognized in the mirror. My grip on the wheel tightened, knuckles white with tension. Red lights and caution signs flashed past, mere blurs in my peripheral vision. The world outside my car ceased to exist. All that mattered was the torrent of emotions threatening to consume me whole. Amid my chaotic flight, a screeching of tires and blaring horns shattered the trance-like state I had slipped into. Reality crashed back with brutal force as I swerved to avoid a collision. The sudden jolt a harsh wake-up call from my reckless escape. My heart hammered in my chest, adrenaline coursing through my veins as I narrowly escaped catastrophe. Shaken to my core, I pulled over to the side of the road, hands trembling on the steering wheel. The gravity of my impulsive flight settled heavily upon me, mingling with the fear of what could have been. A life cut short, not by fate, but by my reckless abandon. Breathing heavily, I stared out into the darkness, the weight of my actions sinking in. In my desperate attempt to outrun the pain, I had endangered not only myself but others on the road. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut, a painful reminder of the chaos that had consumed my life since discovering Lauren's betrayal. As the adrenaline rush subsided, a numbness settled over me, replacing the searing rage with a hollow emptiness. The car sat idling, a mechanical witness to the unraveling of my world. Thoughts of Lauren, of our shattered vows and broken trust swirled in my mind, each one a dagger in my already wounded heart. Hours passed before I found the strength to turn the car around, retracing the path of my impulsive flight back to the empty house where our marriage had once thrived. The night stretched on, silent witness to the wreckage of a love lost, a life shattered, and a future uncertain. Alone in the darkness, I confronted the harsh reality of my escape, an escape that had led me further from resolution and deeper into the abyss of my despair. Chapter title: Realization. The echoes of my reckless escape reverberated in my mind as I sat alone in the dimly lit confines of our once shared bedroom. The events of the evening played out like a surreal movie, each frame etched with pain and regret. I stared at the space beside me, where Lauren's presence had once brought comfort and solace. Guilt gnawed at me, twisting in my gut like a relentless predator. What had I become? I, who prided myself on control and reason, had succumbed to a tempest of emotions, unleashing a storm that threatened to consume everything in its path. I traced back the timeline of events, from the moment I stumbled upon Lauren's betrayal to the visceral fury that drove me to strike out in a way I never thought possible. The image of her tear-stained face haunted me, a stark contrast to the anger that had blinded me to reason. As I sat in silence, the weight of my actions bore down upon me with crushing force. What had I hoped to achieve by fleeing in blind fury? Had I truly believed that running away would erase the pain, the betrayal, the shattered trust? My thoughts turned to Lauren, the woman I had loved with every fiber of my being. How had our love, once so vibrant and unbreakable, crumbled under the weight of her deceit? Was there any chance for redemption, for forgiveness, amidst the wreckage of our marriage? I wrestled with the implications of my outburst, not just for myself, but for Lauren as well. Had I irreparably damaged any chance of salvaging what remained of our shattered relationship? Could we ever rebuild what had been so callously torn apart? The room felt suffocating, the walls closing in around me as I grappled with the enormity of my actions. A part of me yearned to reach out to Lauren, to seek understanding, to bridge the chasm that now yawned between us. Yet another part recoiled from the thought, recoiled from the pain of confronting the truth once more. In the quiet of the night, amidst the remnants of our broken life, I came face to face with the harsh reality of my choices. The road ahead stretched uncertain and fraught with challenges, each step a testament to the aftermath of my impulsive reckoning. As the first light of dawn filtered through the window, I knew that I could no longer evade the consequences of my actions. Whatever lay ahead, whatever decisions needed to be made, I would face them with a clarity born of hard-earned introspection. The journey of reconciliation, of healing, seemed daunting and uncertain. Yet somewhere in the depths of my fractured heart, a glimmer of hope flickered, a hope that perhaps amidst the ruins of our love, redemption awaited, if only I dared to seek it. The realization hit me like a sledgehammer, shattering the fragile remnants of our shattered life together. As I sat amidst the wreckage of what was once our home, the weight of Lauren's betrayal bore down on me with crushing force. I traced back the moments of disbelief and anguish, replaying the scene in my mind where I caught her in the act. The sight of her with another man in our sacred space, their hushed whispers echoing like accusations in the stillness, etched itself indelibly into my memory. For 10 long years, she had deceived me, weaving a web of lies and deceit while I unknowingly carried on, believing in the sanctity of our vows. How could I have been so blind, so naive, to trust her unquestioningly? Anger simmered beneath the surface, a seething rage that threatened to consume me whole, but amidst the fury, a cold clarity began to take hold. I understood now that my life lay in ruins not by chance, but by her calculated betrayal. With each passing moment, the resolve hardened within me. She must pay for what she had done, for the irreparable damage inflicted upon our marriage, upon my trust, upon my very sense of self. I contemplated the path ahead, the steps I would take to exact the justice I deemed necessary. There would be no forgiveness, no reconciliation, not after what she had done. The pain and humiliation she had caused me demanded retribution, demanded that she face the consequences of her actions. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the remnants of our life together, I made a silent vow to myself. I would not rest until justice was served, until Lauren understood the gravity of her betrayal and paid the price for tearing apart everything I held dear. In the quiet of the night, amidst the echoes of shattered promises and broken dreams, I steeled myself for the journey ahead. The road would be fraught with challenges, with obstacles both physical and emotional, but I would not falter. The resolve burned bright within me, a beacon guiding my next steps. Whatever lay ahead, whatever sacrifices needed to be made, I would see this through to the bitter end. Lauren would learn that actions have consequences, and she would bear the weight of her betrayal for the rest of her days. I began my quest silently, methodically gathering evidence of Lauren's decade-long betrayal. Each piece unearthed felt like a dagger through my heart, confirming the depth of her deceit and the magnitude of my naivety. In the dim glow of my study, surrounded by files and digital traces of her infidelity, I meticulously pieced together a timeline of her clandestine affairs. Emails, text messages, and forgotten notes surfaced like ghosts from the past, haunting reminders of her double life. Days turned into nights as I immersed myself in the painful task, confronting the harsh reality that my marriage had been a facade, a charade carefully orchestrated by Lauren's deceitful hands. The woman I thought I knew, the one I vowed to love and cherish, had betrayed me in ways I could barely comprehend. With each damning piece of evidence, my resolve to seek justice grew stronger. It was not enough to confront her with mere suspicions. I needed irrefutable proof to expose her lies to the world. My mind raced with possibilities, sketching out a plan for retribution that would leave no room for doubt. I mapped out the steps meticulously, like a strategist preparing for war. Her betrayal demanded a response that matched its scale, a calculated strike that would strip away the facade of innocence she had worn for so long. As I delved deeper into the murky depths of her deception, I hardened my heart against the pain, channeling my anguish into a singular purpose: to dismantle the life she had constructed on lies and make her face the consequences of her actions. In the quiet hours before dawn, surrounded by the echoes of shattered trust, I finalized my plan. The time for reckoning was near, and I would not rest until Lauren understood the full weight of her betrayal and paid dearly for the destruction she had wrought upon our once happy home. With a steady hand and a heart heavy with betrayal, I embarked on the final phase of my vendetta against Lauren. The evidence I had painstakingly gathered over the past weeks lay before me. Emails, photographs, text messages, all meticulously documenting her decade-long deception. Each piece of evidence was a painful reminder of the life we had shared, now tainted by her infidelity. I had never imagined our marriage would end like this, shattered by her betrayal and my ensuing rage. As I sealed each envelope containing the damning proof, I couldn't shake the feeling of disbelief and sorrow. How could someone I loved and trusted for so long betray me in such a cruel manner? The images of her with another man in our bedroom haunted me, fueling the fury that burned inside. Sending the anonymous messages felt both empowering and heart-wrenching. To her boss, a man whose respect and approval she had sought tirelessly, I detailed the extent of her affair and the ethical breaches she had committed under his watchful eye. It was a calculated move to not only expose her, but to ensure that her professional life would also face repercussions. To her closest friends who had unwittingly shielded her lies, I revealed the truth they never suspected. Each message was a painful confession of her duplicity, laying bare the facade she had maintained for years. As I dropped each envelope into the mailbox, a sense of finality washed over me. This was the culmination of months of planning and preparation, a reckoning I had never imagined I would face. The once bright future I had envisioned with Lauren was now clouded with betrayal and shattered trust. Yet, amidst the turmoil, there was a small flicker of relief. The burden of her secret, carried for so long, was no longer mine alone to bear. I had taken action, not just for myself, but to expose the truth and reclaim a semblance of justice. Driving home, the weight of what I had done settled in. I was no longer the naive husband who believed in the sanctity of marriage without question. The road ahead would be uncertain, marked by the aftermath of my actions and the uncertain path of rebuilding my life without Lauren. But for now, as I pulled into the driveway of our once shared home, I knew that closure, however bitter, had begun. The aftermath of my actions unfolded swiftly and mercilessly. It was a Monday morning when the news reached me. Lauren had been dismissed from her job. The scandal I had orchestrated, fueled by the evidence of her infidelity that I had strategically disseminated, had reached its intended target. I received a call from a former colleague, someone who had been kept in the dark about Lauren's affair until my anonymous message surfaced. He hesitated as he delivered the news, almost as if unsure of how to break it to me. But I already knew. The consequences of my vengeance were beginning to manifest in ways I hadn't fully anticipated. Lauren's dismissal wasn't just a blow to her career, it was a seismic shift in our intertwined lives. Her job had been more than just a source of income. It had been her passion, her identity in many ways. And now it lay shattered, a casualty of her own choices and my relentless pursuit of justice. As I absorbed the news, conflicting emotions surged within me. There was a strange mix of satisfaction and guilt. I had sought retribution for her betrayal, wanting her to face the consequences of her actions. Yet seeing the tangible impact of my actions on her career brought a pang of remorse. The office environment she had thrived in, where she had forged friendships and earned accolades, was now closed to her. The professional network she had meticulously built over the years was now fractured, tainted by the scandal that had exposed her double life. But amidst the turmoil, there was also a sense of liberation. The truth, once hidden in shadows, was now out in the open. There were no more lies to uphold, no more secrets to guard. The weight of her deception, which had burdened our marriage for so long, was finally lifted. As I reflected on the events that led to this moment, I couldn't help but wonder if there could have been another way. Could I have confronted her directly, given her a chance to explain or repent? Or was this the only path left to me after the betrayal that had shattered my trust and our marriage? Driving past her workplace, now tainted by the scandal that had unfolded within its walls, I couldn't shake the feeling of finality. Lauren's career lay in ruins, a casualty of her own choices and my pursuit of justice. The road ahead for both of us was uncertain, marked by the irreversible consequences of her infidelity and my quest for closure. As I returned to our once shared home, now a silent witness to our shattered dreams, I knew that this chapter of our lives had ended. The fallout from my actions had forever altered the course of our intertwined destinies, leaving us both to navigate the wreckage of our marriage and the consequences of betrayal. The fallout from the scandal that engulfed Lauren and me was far-reaching, extending beyond the confines of our shattered marriage to touch every aspect of our lives. As the days turned into weeks, the repercussions of her infidelity rippled through our social circles and community, leaving a trail of broken friendships and tarnished reputations in its wake. I first noticed the shift in dynamics during a neighborhood gathering, a once warm reception, now replaced with uneasy glances and whispered conversations that fell silent upon my approach. Friends we had known for years, who had stood by us through thick and thin, now kept their distance, their loyalty torn between us. It became painfully clear that the trust we had once taken for granted had been irreparably damaged. Lauren's betrayal, laid bare by the scandalous revelations that had spread like wildfire through our social circles, had shattered the foundation of our friendships. Those who had once admired and respected her now viewed her with suspicion and disappointment. Even among mutual friends who attempted to remain impartial, I could sense the strain in their interactions with both of us. Conversations turned awkward, filled with uneasy silences and carefully chosen words that skirted around the elephant in the room. The once vibrant social gatherings we had enjoyed together now felt hollow and strained, tainted by the specter of betrayal. As the days passed, Lauren's circle of friends dwindled. Those who had initially tried to offer support or understanding found themselves caught between conflicting loyalties, unsure of how to reconcile their friendship with the revelations of her infidelity. Some chose to distance themselves quietly, while others voiced their disapproval more openly, unable to overlook the breach of trust that had rocked our community. In the broader social sphere, Lauren's reputation suffered a severe blow. Where once she had been regarded as a pillar of our community, admired for her charm and grace, she now faced whispers and sidelong glances wherever she went. Her once flourishing social life dwindled as invitations dried up and acquaintances became scarce. The loss of friends and reputation weighed heavily on Lauren, manifesting in moments of solitude and reflection that I glimpsed from a distance. There were nights when I found her staring into the darkness, lost in thoughts that she struggled to articulate. The repercussions of her actions had left her isolated, grappling with the consequences of betraying not just me, but the trust of everyone who had once held her in high regard. As for me, navigating the aftermath of the scandal was a lonely journey of its own. The friends we had shared had become casualties of the betrayal that had shattered our marriage, leaving me to contemplate the true extent of the damage wrought by Lauren's infidelity. The once vibrant life we had built together now lay in ruins, overshadowed by the fallout from her choices and my pursuit of justice. In the midst of it all, I couldn't help but wonder if there had been another way to confront the betrayal that had unraveled our lives. Could forgiveness have offered a path to healing, or was the loss of trust and friendship an inevitable consequence of the betrayal that had rocked our community to its core? As I grappled with these questions, one thing remained clear. The fallout from Lauren's infidelity had reshaped our lives in ways we could never have anticipated, leaving us both to navigate the uncertain terrain of loss, regret, and the irreversible consequences of betrayal. The decision to divorce Lauren was not one made lightly. It came after weeks of soul-searching, grappling with the shattered remnants of trust and love that once bound us together. In the wake of her betrayal, I found myself unable to envision a future where we could reconcile the broken pieces of our marriage. Our conversations had become strained, laden with unspoken grievances and the weight of unfulfilled promises. What had once been a sanctuary of love and companionship now felt like a battleground of hurt and resentment. Every interaction, every glance exchanged between us was tinged with the bitterness of betrayal. I reflected on the years we had spent together, the dreams we had shared, and the vows we had made to each other. Those promises, once sacred and binding, now lay shattered at our feet, casualties of Lauren's infidelity and my relentless pursuit of justice. The foundation of our marriage, built on trust and mutual respect, had crumbled beyond repair. The decision to divorce was a painful acknowledgement of the irreparable damage wrought by Lauren's actions. It was a recognition that the wounds inflicted upon our relationship ran too deep to heal, that the trust once lost could never be fully regained. Despite the love that had once bound us, I could no longer ignore the reality that our paths had diverged irreversibly. As I navigated the legal complexities of divorce proceedings, I found myself grappling with a maelstrom of emotions: grief, anger, and a profound sense of loss. The dreams we had shared, the future we had envisioned together, now lay in ruins, overshadowed by the harsh reality of betrayal and its aftermath. In the quiet moments of solitude that followed, I wrestled with the painful truth that our marriage had come to an end, not because of external forces or unforeseen circumstances, but because of choices that had irreversibly altered the course of our lives. The decision to divorce was a necessary step towards reclaiming my sense of self-worth and dignity, away from the shadows of betrayal that had engulfed us both. Despite the anguish that accompanied our separation, I found solace in the belief that the end of our marriage marked the beginning of a new chapter, one defined by healing, self-discovery, and the gradual journey towards rebuilding a life shattered by betrayal and heartache. Now, I face the daunting task of rebuilding my life without Lauren by my side. The void she left behind is palpable, a constant reminder of the life we once shared, now shattered by betrayal and heartache. Learning to live without Lauren is like navigating through uncharted waters. Every routine, every familiar place bears the imprint of our shared history. I find myself grappling with the absence of her laughter, her warmth, and the comfort of her presence. In the quiet moments of solitude, I confront the reality of starting anew. It's a process fraught with uncertainty and emotional upheaval. I must redefine my identity outside of our relationship, rediscovering passions and interests that were overshadowed by the dynamics of our marriage. Grief washes over me in waves, alternating between moments of profound sadness and fleeting glimpses of acceptance. I mourn not just the loss of a partner, but the dreams we once held dear, the future we had planned together, now irrevocably altered. Yet, amidst the pain, I find resilience stirring within me. I draw strength from the support of friends and family who stand by me through this turbulent chapter of my life. Their unwavering presence offers solace and reminds me that I am not alone in this journey. As I navigate the complexities of healing, I begin to envision a future that is distinctly mine. It's a future shaped by lessons learned from heartbreak and the determination to forge ahead, embracing the opportunities that lie ahead. Learning to live without Lauren is a profound lesson in self-discovery and resilience. It's a journey of reclaiming my independence, nurturing self-love, and finding fulfillment in the newfound freedom to chart my course. Though the road ahead may be daunting, I am committed to embracing the challenges with courage and grace. I am learning, day by day, to cultivate a life that honors the past while embracing the promise of a future where I am whole once more, liberated from the shadows of betrayal and ready to embrace whatever comes next. The first year has been a journey through the depths of grief and transformation. Each day seemed like an uphill battle, navigating the waves of heartache and adjusting to a life that no longer included Lauren. In the beginning, every moment was clouded by the memories of what we once had. I found myself grappling with a profound sense of loss, mourning not just the end of our marriage, but the shattered dreams and promises we had made to each other. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, yet the ache in my heart persisted. The routine of daily life felt hollow without her presence, her laughter echoing faintly in the corners of my memory. I sought solace in the familiarity of our shared spaces, now imbued with a bittersweet nostalgia. The photographs on the walls and the remnants of her belongings served as constant reminders of a love that had once defined my world. Navigating social gatherings and family events became poignant reminders of the void left by her absence. I struggled to articulate the complexities of my emotions, oscillating between sorrow, anger, and a longing for closure. The passage of time offered little reprieve from the tumultuous emotions that consumed me. Yet, amidst the darkness, I began to glimpse moments of clarity and resilience. I found strength in the support of loved ones who stood by me through the darkest days, offering comfort and understanding when words failed me. As the first year drew to a close, I realized that healing was not linear. It was a journey of rediscovery and self-compassion, learning to embrace the scars of heartbreak as reminders of my capacity for love and resilience. The difficult first year, taught me invaluable lessons about loss, resilience, and the transformative power of time. Though the road ahead may still be uncertain, I am slowly learning to navigate it with newfound courage and hope, honoring the past while embracing the promise of a future where I am stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace life's next chapter. As I stand here today, reflecting on the journey that brought me to this moment, I feel a sense of liberation wash over me. The weight of pain and disappointment that once burdened my heart has gradually lifted, making way for a newfound sense of freedom and renewal. Releasing myself from the grip of past hurts was not an easy feat. It required introspection, resilience, and a willingness to confront the depths of my emotions head-on. There were moments when I felt overwhelmed by grief, grappling with the shattered pieces of a life I had meticulously built with Lauren. But with time, patience, and the unwavering support of loved ones, I began to untangle myself from the web of sorrow that had ensnared me. I allowed myself to mourn the loss of what could have been, while simultaneously embracing the possibilities that lay ahead. Forgiveness played a pivotal role in my healing process. It was not about absolving Lauren or forgetting the pain she caused, but rather releasing the bitterness and resentment that threatened to consume me. In forgiving her, I reclaimed my power and reclaimed my ability to move forward without the weight of anger holding me back. Embracing this new chapter in my life required courage and determination. I embarked on new experiences, rediscovered old passions, and nurtured relationships that brought joy and fulfillment into my days. Each step forward was a testament to my resilience and a reaffirmation of my capacity to thrive despite adversity. Today, as I look toward the horizon, I see a future filled with promise and possibility. The scars of heartbreak serve as reminders of the strength I gained through adversity, and the lessons learned along the way have shaped me into a more compassionate, resilient individual. I am grateful for the journey that led me here, for it taught me invaluable lessons about love, loss, and the enduring power of the human spirit. As I embrace this newfound sense of freedom and embark on the next chapter of my life, I do so with optimism, gratitude, and a deep-seated belief in the transformative power of healing and renewal.